In its original Japanese context, the word Ikigai is composed of two terms, iki meaning life, and gai meaning value. It translates strictly to a daily sense that life is worth living. It has zero inherent connection to your career or professional ambition. Compare that ancient linguistic reality to the anxiety of the modern professional class, where individuals are pressured to identify a single monetizable life purpose. Look at this widely shared framework. The Western Internet insists this is the authentic blueprint for Ikigai. It instructs you to find the intersection of what you love, what you are good at, what the world needs, and what you can be paid for. By requiring you to satisfy these outer rings, this model conflates human meaning with economic utility and market demand. It insists that your passion is only valid if it functions as a financial asset. That diagram is a Western fabrication. Created by an astrologer in 2014 and later mislabeled as Japanese philosophy, it creates a sense of failure in anyone whose joy doesn't generate a paycheck. Treating meaning as a productivity hack or a career destination destabilizes the internal reward system. It forces us to measure internal satisfaction against external metrics. The empirical baseline for true Ikigai is found in Okinawa, Japan. Dan Buettner's Blue Zones data isolates this region for its anomalous longevity, low burnout rates, and high baseline of psychological well-being among the elderly. The historical architecture of these traditional village communities reveals an environment that functioned without corporate structures or vertical career ladders. Without a professional hierarchy to climb, Ikigai operates as an embedded daily practice. It is the action occurring right now, rather than a retirement goal waiting at the end of decades of labor. This local system of meaning is passed down across generations through quiet, shared rituals and mutual presence. Neuroscientist Ken Moji has studied this cultural phenomenon extensively. His research confirms that authentic Ikigai operates independently of professional success. The practice relies on sensory engagement with the present moment and autotelic labor, actions performed entirely for their own sake, like a raw harvest. The Okinawan demographic data proves that meaning is a daily operational baseline to be maintained through small actions, not a result of grand achievement. How do we translate an ancient village philosophy into a functional framework for modern knowledge workers? We look to clinical psychology, specifically the observations of psychiatrist Viktor Frankl. Frankl's core clinical thesis, developed under extreme duress, posits that the drive for meaning is the primary intrinsic human motivator. When a single person identifies a precise reason to endure, they maintain psychological stability even as physical conditions deteriorate. Modern clinical psychology supports this. Michael Steger's peer-reviewed research isolates meaning in life as a quantifiable psychological metric that dictates overall resilience. This graph charts self-reported meaning in life against psychological distress. The correlation is clear. As grounded meaning increases, systemic burnout and distress drop. This diagram illustrates self-determination theory's 3 pillars for intrinsic motivation, mapping onto Ikigai. First, autonomy, the biological need for internal control. Next, competence, the drive for mastery. Finally, relatedness, the requirement for community connection. If you want to continue deconstructing the science of high performance and system design, subscribe to Growth Systems Daily. We build frameworks based on data. Purpose is a quantifiable psychological driver. It is the engine required for sustainable human output. To find your actual Ikigai, you need a rigid system audit to separate your intrinsic drivers from socially conditioned goals. This modular interface outlines a diagnostic tool. Step 1 is the autotelic test. Identify actions you perform purely for the experience of doing them, where the task itself is the entire reward. Entering a true flow state requires zero external validation. Step 2 is the friction baseline. Audit your week to locate intense focus without any promise of monetary compensation. Step 3 is the competence audit. Pinpoint specific areas where you seek mastery over microscopic details. Step 4 is the relatedness check. Map out exactly who this autotelic action connects you to. Step 5 is the morning litmus test. If your calendar was wiped clean, what small, specific routine would still compel you to get out of bed? Running this internal audit strips away capitalist conditioning. What remains are the raw, unmonetized inputs that fuel your psychological endurance. searching for a single defining career mission is rare in practice. Spending a lifetime attempting to align 4 distinct life variables into one job usually results in systemic paralysis. Ken Mogi presents a functional alternative, the Ikigai spectrum, powered by what he calls micro-ikigais. Micro-ikigais are small, deliberate acts of joy or craft. It is the act of brewing coffee with absolute focus. It is the 10 minutes spent tending to a single plant on your desk. The validity of the action is not determined by its scale or economic output. It is determined solely by the depth of presence you apply to it. These simple cultural routines function as stable psychological anchors. They protect the mind against burnout by providing nodes of meaning throughout the day. A resilient human system is not held up by one massive pillar of purpose. It is stabilized by dozens of micro-ikigais distributed throughout the waking hours. Take a look at this standard digital calendar. To design your daily life around these concepts, you have to stop treating meaning like a productivity hack. You cannot schedule purpose for a single hour a day. Instead, you must shift your system design. Move from a calendar optimized purely for continuous output to an architecture punctuated by short, autotelic anchors. True Ikigai is an ongoing practice of recognizing value in the present. It is a method of operating, not a future milestone. Subscribe to Growth Systems Daily to keep building better life architectures. Go to the comments and tell me one specific micro-ikigai you are integrating into your routine this week. Meaning isn't found at the center of a Venn diagram. It is built, quietly, in the spaces between the work.